Finally got my voice back, and so we're back to the Tamarix or Cherryana, and these are the lovely pink seed pods that dry and then split, and they're in 3 parts, and then they release all these tiny little seeds out into the wind to spread. And in here, where you get this dense mass of little seeds with the hairs, I've got just a hint of the colour of the seed pod behind coming through, so that it gives the idea that this area is very densely, lots of hairs and lots of little seeds coming up. They're being blown up through the seed pods and taken away by the wind. So that's a lovely seed case of the Tamarix or Cherryana. And down here I've got a seed that I did at ×30 to show the shape of the seed, and then the stalk or the stem or the tail that comes up above the seed, and then all the hairs come off at angles from this piece, so not from the top of the seed, but from all the way up this stalk. And getting those hairs in is an interesting exercise, so we'll look at that in a moment. So I've got the little seed here, and then taking a dip pen and putting watercolour in it, so you draw the little tail that comes up, and then taking the hairs with the dip pen away, all the way up the little tail or the stalk or the stem. And you can see how small it is with the size of the dip pen. So the dip pen has got watercolour in it, and just gradually putting the hairs in at different angles. And having a heavier pressure at the base to get the colour, and then releasing the pressure as you go up the hair. Because obviously the hair is finer at the top and just disappears. So this is quite a meditative process, and you've got to keep a steady hand. So all the little hairs are coming off at different angles and gradually building it up. So these little seeds are only a millimetre big. Seems to be a lot of things that are only a millimetre big in this project. So building up the hairs, and you can see the effect. And you can always go back and put in a couple of darker ones later when it's dry. So that's how you build up. So it's a dip pen, and I'll give a link to the company I buy the nibs from, which is an amazing company. All sorts of lovely things to do with calligraphy and dip pens, and a little bit of shadow on the seed there. So these are all the tiny little hairs for the 1 millimetre seed being built up. So I'll let that dry and then go back and maybe put a couple of extra ones in.